Well, to U.S. politics now, as the ages of U.S. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are once again coming under greater scrutiny. Today, the former South Carolina governor, Nikki Haley, described Trump, her one-time boss, as diminished and unhinged, resembling other comments she's made about Joe Biden, who she has said is just too old to be president.
I'll just say it. Biden's too old, and Congress is the most exclusive nursing home in America. Washington keeps failing because politicians from yesterday can't lead us into tomorrow. We need term limits, mental competency tests, and a real plan to defeat China and restore our economy. We have to leave behind the chaos and drama of the past with a new generation and a new conservative president. I'm Nikki Haley, and I approve this message.
And Haley is running for the Republican nomination. But as things stand right now, the next U.S. vote is increasingly looking like a rematch between Biden and Trump. So for more, we're now glad to have back on our program this evening David Leventhal, editor-in-chief of the investigative news website Raw Story. Dave, good to see you.
Hey, great to be back, Mike.
Listen, there's not much of a difference when you look at the ages of Biden and Trump. Biden is 81, Trump is 77. But there seems to be more questions about Biden's ability to do his job. Why is that?
Well, foremost, he's president of the United States right now. So he's not only running for election, he's running for re-election for 4 more years. And he would be 86 years old at the end of a second Biden term. So add that all up, and the spotlight is naturally going to be on him more than it's going to be on Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that it's not on Donald Trump, who's going to turn 78 years old this spring, and also, too, is the former president. So we have a very bizarre situation in that a president and a former president are running against each other, and that's something that rarely happens in the United States.
Yeah, rarely, as you say, although we are hearing from American pundits, at least some of them, they're suggesting that Democrats need to dump Biden and find a more inspiring candidate. How difficult would that be to actually accomplish?
First of all, it's not going to happen unless Joe Biden wants it to happen, and he does not, or some sort of health crisis was to hit Joe Biden that would force him out of the race and make it untenable for him to continue on. So as things stand right now, he is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. He is going to stand for re-election in the general election come November, and barring something absolutely monumental, Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee on his side. So this is Trump-Biden 2.0, the rematch, call it what you want, but more or less, unless something pretty crazy happens, we're going to get a rerun of what happened 4 years ago in 2020.
Okay, so as you say, Biden, unless something catastrophic happens, will be the Democratic nominee. So how much scrutiny would that place on Kamala Harris then, given Biden's age? What type of scrutiny does that create for Harris? Would that be for or against the Democratic ticket?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of scrutiny right now, seeing that she's very much in the background. She's the vice president, the number 2, but yet she is one proverbial heartbeat away from becoming president of the United States at any moment. And if Joe Biden were to step away, if he was forced out because of health reasons, she would be the logical person to go and slot in and be at the top of the ticket as opposed to the second place on the ticket. Although that's not a guarantee. There would likely be other people, other Democrats who would be considered. You can think of Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who's somebody whose stock is rising considerably in the Democratic Party. So there are all these parlor games that are being played. But again, it's important to note that barring anything like that extreme happening, Joe Biden is going to be the nominee, and it's all forward with Joe Biden.
Yeah, all forward Joe Biden. But getting back a little bit to Kamala Harris, though, is she a plus or a negative for that campaign if the question is who would replace Biden if he were to be reelected and not survive a second term?
Right now, you'd almost have to say a negative because her polling numbers are not great. She's not particularly popular, although she is the first woman to serve as vice president, and she's also the first non-white American to serve in that position as well. So when you put that together, you definitely have somebody who has been historic in that regard, somebody who has sought the presidency on her own terms, running in 2020 before her presidential campaign flamed out, and she definitely has the ambition and the desire to become president, were that to be something that was an opportunity for her, whether it be now or later down the road.
Okay. Now, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, referenced it quickly. The fact that, that Trump has also been slipping in facts and details. And to that, I do want people to take a look at this ad. This is from the Biden-Harris campaign, underlining Trump's own challenges right now. Take a listen.
Donald Trump is truly confused.
Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. They don't want to talk about that.
He didn't just get me confused. He mentioned it over and over and over again. Yeah. He's not what he was in 2016. He has declined. That's a fact.
Okay, so again, Trump has had his own challenges. Why is that not figuring as large as the questions around Joe Biden? I take what you're saying, that Joe Biden is the U.S. president, but is Trump the man to replace him? If there's also lingering questions around that, why is that not such a controversy right now?
Well, it's not a controversy. Well, it is a controversy, first of all, in the sense that there's about half of America who's saying, look at that. You got to focus on that. This is absolutely unbelievable. But we also have seen Donald Trump since 2015 say lots of things that are unprecedented in U.S. politics, that his critics would consider to be absolutely unhinged. And even just as recently as the past couple of days, him coming out and basically offering an invitation to Russia to attack NATO members if NATO members didn't pay what Donald Trump considers to be their fair share to the alliance, something that some people considered to be absolutely tantamount to being un-American, almost treasonous. So that's the level of discourse that we're having around Donald Trump right now. And he's not just forgetting things. He's not just mixing up names. It's not senior moments. These are things where people who are his critics, people, not only Democrats, but others, including some Republicans who are anti-Trumpers or who are skeptical of Trump, saying, do we really want him leading our country again? That's a question that Donald Trump is having to grapple with, and will have to do so in a general election context with undecided voters.
Okay, and then there's the elephant in the room. Trump still has to defend himself in 4 criminal cases. He's been indicted 91 times in connection to those cases. And in the Jean Carroll case, the jury concluded that he sexually abused her. The judge said that Trump actually raped her. Are those not issues for Republican and American voters? At least, do those not rise to the top more than age?
You would think that they would. But again, Donald Trump is a singular figure in American politics in a way that for about half of America makes him so wonderful, and for the other half of America makes him absolutely terrible and a danger. So that's a division that we have that's being illustrated by the very point that you brought up. But expect Democrats and expect all of the different political committees that will have a ton of money to bring to bear during this election cycle to point all of those things out. And I would expect that you're going to hear the word rapist, you're going to hear the word sexual assault more and more and more as things go on, because, hey, we can talk about falsifying business records or having classified material and Mar-a-Lago or even January 6th, but that particular element of it, the sexual assault and his liability that was found in a court of law, is something that could be a huge liability for him politically in a way that it isn't today, but could be in the future.
Dave, always good to speak with you. Thank you for this. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Michael.
That's David Leventhal, editor-in-chief of The Raw Story.